Our leader's name is Moshe. Now you know he had 7 names. Which is interesting. His father-in-law Yitro also had 7 names. In those days they had a lot of names. So why is it the name Moshe that stuck? You know, he had a name Avigdor. Avigdor, that was one of Moshe Rabbeinu's names. That's a great, beautiful name. Abi Sukkot. Why Moshe? Says the Kabbalists. Moshe Rabbeinu was able to reduce the exile by 344 years. That's the 80% discount. Because his name Moshe equals 345. And the Mekubalim might, because he was above, he was one above that number, which represent he had the power to overcome that number. He had the power to delete it, or to, better to say, suspend it. Moshe, which is 345, was able to push away the number that's beneath him. He has a koach. He's above it. And that's what God said, V'zeh lecha ha'ot. That extra letter that you have in your name, the ot, the +1, she'anuchi shelachtika, that I've sent you. The lesson for us in all this, the chesed that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did was divided into 4 exiles. I have to think to myself, and I think it's fair to say, but only God has the scale. Don't you think in 2,000 years, in this last exile, we went through the Spanish Inquisition, we went through the Tahvitat, the Holocaust, and now even the current events of October 7th. You have to think to yourself, if this is to pay 1/5, isn't the bill paid up already? I mean, I can't imagine that the last 2,000 years is less painful than Babel. Babel was 70 years. I don't know what happened in Galut Babel, but it took care of it. So we say to Borei Olam, maybe this was the last installment in order to finalize, and maybe it's coming in these parashiyot. Maybe it's coming in the parashiyot that represent these concepts, that Borei Olam is just taking the last few dollars that we owe on this old debt. But we could tell Borei Olam, you're God, you could forgive the debt. Even though the Torah Chaim said it's got to be like this. Sometimes when you go to the bank and you cry to the bank and say you can't pay the mortgage, sometimes the bank says, we'll write it off as a loss. So today we come to Borei Olam and say, we know there's a system over here, we know the math has to work out, but you're the chairman. God, who's the who underwrites all these exiles anyway, could come along and say, write it off. Whatever is due to me, kapara, will reduce it and make the balance 0. In the interim, we say to Borei Olam, just like on Lil Seder, we lift the kos. Kos Yeshuot Esa, Ubshem Adonai Ekra. Kos is Gematria 86, which is Elokim. Kos Yeshuot Esa. We lift the kos up to represent how God reduced the 86 years. Ubshem Adonai Ekra. Yud Vatke is mercy. That God added the Yud Vatke, the measure of mercy, to Elohim. So we ask God again, like the beginning of this parasha begins, Vaydaber Elohim el Moshe, Vayomer elav ani Adonai. Let God add the Yud Vatke to the Elohim, and then Be'ezrat Hashem will have Geulah Shelema b'merav yameinu. Amen.